It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
Right now on the 10 o'clock news.
A poll shedding light on what could happen if the mayor's race slims from 4 candidates to 2. But that won't be so easy. Election officials refusing to remove a candidate's name from the ballot who's already dropped out of the race.
Less gridlock in the zone. Numbers showing congestion pricing is working, but drivers are still hitting the brakes getting into the city.
But first, a manhunt for a career criminal accused of a grisly double murder in Queens. The 10 o'clock news starts right now. Good evening, I'm Natasha Verma.
And I'm Steve Lacey. Authorities say the suspect preyed on the elderly couple asking for help before being let inside their home.
And that's when the NYPD says he turned, allegedly killing the pair and setting the house on fire. So here's what we know about the suspect. 42-year-old Jamel McGriff has a criminal record spanning 30 years. He is on parole after serving 16 years for a 2006 robbery. Additionally, he failed to register as a sex offender in 2024. That list, just the tip of the iceberg.
All right, Fox 5's Jessica Formoso is live in Belrose, Queens, where a vigil was just held for the two victims. Jess.
Steve and Natasha, just a horrific story to report. And that's right, neighbors have been coming out here lighting candles and placing flowers. Take a live look here more than 24 hours later, and this is still an active scene. This is a quiet neighborhood in a tight community where everyone knows everyone. I spoke to one resident who says she's on edge.
It just hurts that our legal system treats criminals like they belong with us. They belong with normal citizens. Letting them out and just letting them do this to innocent people really hurts. Innocent, nice people that just wanted to give him a home, give him help. It scares me. I can't even walk down my block.
Now go ahead and take a look at your screen. This is who police are looking for tonight. 42-year-old Jamel McGriff of the Bronx, a parolee with prior robbery convictions, a career criminal of 30 years. The NYPD says McGriff came to Belrose to do harm. He knocked on doors telling homeowners he needed help and to let him in. He was rejected at the first home, but then knocked on the home of 76-year-old Frank Alton and his 77-year-old wife Maureen, where police say he spent 5 hours torturing them before setting the home on fire and fleeing. According to the NYPD, Mr. Alton was found in the basement tied to a pole with multiple stab wounds. Mrs. Alton was found on the first floor, severely burned.
Witnesses state that the suspect claimed that he needed assistance, that his phone battery was dead, and he was asking if he could enter the house to charge his phone. At this first house, the suspect is denied entry. He then proceeds on foot to a second house, the incident location. Video shows the suspect interacting with the male victim, and it appears the suspect was allowed into the backyard.
Now, this year's McGriff in a recent robbery, according to the NYPD, in July and August, he committed 2 robberies in Manhattan, including one in the Flatiron District inside a Verizon phone store where police say he forced an employee into the back room and announced a robbery at gunpoint. This afternoon, he was captured on surveillance video pawning 2 cell phones in the Bronx. He is currently out on parole for a first-degree robbery he committed in 2006 after serving more than 16 years on that conviction. Now, police here tonight urging residents not to open their doors if they do not know who's at the door. Again, anyone who has any information about the suspect is asked to call Crime Stoppers. That number, 1-800-577-TIPS. We're live in Belrose. I'm Jessica Formoso, Fox 5 News. Steve, Natasha.
All right, Jess, thank you so much. And to the mayor's race now. Democratic Socialist Zohran Mamdani continues to hold a commanding lead over his 3 competitors.
All right, a new poll diving into what would happen if he faced off with just one other candidate. Fox 5's Linda Schmidt live in studio to break it all down. Linda.
That's right. Well, according to the latest poll by Siena University, Zohran Mamdani is leaving the other 3 candidates in the dust. He has a commanding lead in a 4-way race for mayor, 22 points ahead of Andrew Cuomo, who is in second place. But If it is a two-way race between Mamdani and Cuomo, then his lead shrinks significantly. Go ahead, take a look at this. The poll shows Mamdani has just a 4-point advantage over Cuomo in a two-person race. However, the poll's margin of error is 3.6%, which means the two candidates are pretty much head-to-head. Now, this only applies if both Mayor Adams and Republican candidate Curtis Sliwa drop out of the race. And it was last week that reports broke the Trump administration is considering offering the mayor and Sliwa jobs in the administration in exchange for dropping out of the race to clear a path for Cuomo to go head-to-head with Mamdani. The mayor and Sliwa continuing to insist they are in this race to win it. And they say Cuomo is behind all of the reports linking them both to Trump and once again calling Cuomo a liar and a snake.
As I move around the city and visit senior centers, shake hands, walk in streets, like, where is he? We have seen this before. Campaigning is not walking the streets of the Hamptons. It is walking the streets of Harlem.
I can trace all this rumor mongering to one person alone. Andrew Cuomo is a snake and a liar.
I think this is going to come down to a two-person race at the end of the day. And I don't think people are going to waste their vote. This should not be your first job, right? And if a person has no management experience besides running 5 people, you don't go from that to running 300,000 people, $115 billion budget.
For Cuomo today, he held a press conference with a 9/11 first responder and his wife. The couple slamming Mamdani for going on a podcast several months ago with Hassan Piker. Now, he is a Turkish-American YouTuber. It was back in 2019 that Piker said America deserved 9/11. Mamdani's campaign, though, responding that Cuomo has repeatedly trafficked in Islamophobia for political purposes, saying, quote, Andrew Cuomo knows exactly what he's doing. He's holding a press conference to suggest that Zohran Mamdani, who is poised to become New York's first Muslim mayor, somehow supported 9/11. It's vile, it's dangerous, and it's deliberate. And also today, the City Board of Elections is still denying a request from independent Jim Walden to take his name off the ballot. Now, he wants it off the ballot. He dropped out of the race last week. He says he plans to file an emergency petition in state Supreme Court to get his name off the ballot tomorrow. Steve and Natasha, back over to you.
All right, thanks, Linda. Well, stunning escalation in the Mideast. Israel launching an airstrike in Qatar, targeting Hamas leaders as they consider a U.S. proposed ceasefire.
Fox 8 Sharon Crowley is live in the newsroom. Sharon, leaders in Qatar are stunned by this attack.
That's right, Natasha. Israeli airstrikes targeting Hamas leadership in Doha, Qatar. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu retaliating after a deadly terror attack on a bus in Jerusalem Monday that killed 6 people. Now, military sources say 15 fighter jets fired over 10 missiles at the terror group's headquarters, where the figures were meeting, hitting the same group that Israeli says was rejoicing over the horror of the October 7th attack, which led to nearly 2 years of war.
At the beginning of the war, I promised that Israel would reach those who perpetrated this horror. And today, Israel and I have kept that promise.
Well, the strikes came hours after a final evacuation order for hundreds of thousands in Gaza City ahead of an Israeli ground offensive. Another sign the latest ceasefire effort by the U.S. could be in trouble. Hamas claimed it was discussing the plan when the strikes happened. More bad news for families of hostages that are being held by the terrorists. They have fear that this will jeopardize any peace deal.
President Trump wants all of the hostages in Gaza and the bodies of the dead released, and this war to end now. President Trump also spoke to Prime Minister Netanyahu after the attack. The Prime Minister told President Trump that he wants to make peace, and quickly.
I'm not thrilled about the whole situation. It's not a good situation. But I will say this, we want the hostages back. But we are not thrilled about the way that went down today. I was very unhappy about it, very unhappy about every aspect, and we got to get the hostages back. But I was very unhappy about the way that went down.
Well, unrest in the Middle East being felt right here in New York City. The NYPD says that it's tracking the unfolding situation in Qatar and says, out of an abundance of caution, police are deploying to religious, cultural, and diplomatic sites across the city. And as we approach the anniversary of 9/11, the Jewish High Holy Days, and the UN General Assembly, the NYPD is monitoring threats against critical infrastructure, and that includes bridges and tunnels connecting Queens and Manhattan. I'll send it back to you, Natasha.
All right, Sharon, thank you so much. And federal charges announced against the man accused of brutally stabbing and killing a Ukrainian refugee on a light rail train in North Carolina, and it's all caught on surveillance video. The Department of Justice making the announcement today. DeCarlos Brown Jr. could face the death penalty if convicted. The unprovoked attack happened in Charlotte last month. The victim died shortly after. The federal case will run parallel with the state case charging Brown with first-degree murder. And developing tonight, people in Hoboken are under a boil water advisory after 2 water main breaks in the city at different locations. Emergency repairs happening at Newark and Garden Streets and on 9th Street between Garden and Bloomfield Streets. Hoboken officials set up several water distribution sites this afternoon. They have now closed for the night, but they will reopen tomorrow morning at 7. Residents and businesses are being warned to boil water for drinking, cooking, and brushing teeth. No word on when water will be restored.
Well, less honking, hitting the brakes, and sitting in standstill traffic. That's according to new numbers on congestion pricing. We're going to take the data to the streets of the tolling zone to hear from drivers themselves.
And the New York Liberty running circles around the Washington Mystics. We are live at the last regular home game of the season. Well, there are fewer cars in the zone. New numbers show congestion pricing is working.
All right, but do the numbers translate to how New Yorkers are feeling on the streets? Fox 5's Arthur Chien investigates.
Traffic was down significantly this summer. That's a victory being touted by Governor Kathy Hochul, who on Tuesday announced August ended with 2.7 million fewer cars in the congestion pricing zone. That's a 14% decrease when compared to August of last year, and the biggest drop since congestion pricing started in January. All of this music to the ears of groups who champion congestion pricing and say it's saving time, and not just for drivers.
Especially, it turns out, for people on the bus, people coming from New Jersey by bus, which is a lot of the New Jersey commuters are saving a lot of time. And there's more foot traffic in Midtown. It's just, everything is just on the up.
Facing a political hot potato last year, Governor Hochul first paused the plan, then cut its price from $15 to $9, but now is riding high off its results, claiming fewer crashes and less traffic, saying your commute is going faster at some bridges and tunnels. But it's a tale of 2 Hudson River crossings, with the Holland Tunnel traffic moving 36% faster, but just 5% faster at the Lincoln Tunnel. Meanwhile, it's generating hundreds of millions of dollars as projected, which is, in turn, paying for transit improvements from, as the governor put it, Poughkeepsie to Montauk, new rail cars, and added accessibility. But critics of the plan, including those who filed lawsuits to stop it, are not swayed by Hochul's announcement Tuesday, saying she and the MTA are just manipulating the data.
Congestion pricing is a disaster, especially for working class New Yorkers. If your motive is to say, hey, New York streets open to rich people, then yeah, I would say complete and utter success.
Meanwhile, President Trump continues to try to end congestion pricing in New York, so we decided to ask New Yorkers whether or not they think it's working and whether or not they think congestion pricing should stay.
Actually, with congestion pricing, traffic is down. I'm not sure if it's making a big difference for now. At least now that the schools are back, it doesn't seem to be working.
The next court hearing on congestion pricing is set for October in Kips Bay. Arthur Chien, Fox 5 News.
Well, a slew of public hearings over the proposed downstate casinos in New York City. Tonight, people in the Bronx voicing their opinions over the proposed Bally's Casino in Throgs Neck. Some say it would bring tourism to the borough, but others say it attracts an unwanted crowd. Also, a public hearing happening earlier today in Queens over plans to build a casino there in Flushing Meadows. Last night, both sides weighed in on a plan for the Avenir project in Hell's Kitchen, and Coney Island proposal will have its hearing tomorrow, and the Times Square proposal will be on Thursday.
Well, fans cheering on the New York Liberty during their last home game of the regular season tonight.
And the team just wrapping up an exciting win against the Washington Mystics. Fox 8's Kendall Green is live at Barclays Center. Hey, Kendall.
Hi, good evening, Steve and Natasha. The New York Liberty came in as a clear favorite, predicted to beat the Washington Mystics tonight in their last home game, and they had no problem getting the job done there on the court. Now, we spoke to Jonquel Jones right before the game, and she shared she's enjoyed locking in the chemistry with her teammates, all healthy for the first time since the second game this season back in May. And you could tell on the court tonight, by halftime, the Liberty looked like a well-oiled machine, commanding a 15-point lead. And the Mystics, they cut into that lead a bit in the second half, but by the final buzzer, the Liberty finished 75-66. Now, they're just one game away from the start of their playoff run, and fans, they say they're glad to see the pieces coming together at the right time.
They're bringing it together. They're starting to communicate a lot better. Cloud is stepping up as a leader in many ways, like with other players out. So it's been really nice to see everyone show leadership in different ways and communicate, just like tapping into their strengths.
I think you saw at the start of the season, and then when we hit all those injuries, what's kind of happened, I think the bench has really done an amazing job stepping up, but I'm really excited that we've got everyone, great timing. I mean, you couldn't have asked for better, and so we're ready to rock and roll.
Now the Liberty head to the Windy City to face the Chicago Sky, and then when they get back to the Barclays, they'll be competing in the playoffs. This could be as early as next week, but that's the latest here at Barclays Center. Kendall Green, Fox 5 News. Steve, Natasha.
A W, that's the result we wanted.
Title run underway. We appreciate it. Thanks, Kendall.
Well, the moderate dry weather will take a dip tomorrow.
All right, Nick's tracking the rain moving into the area next.
All right, time to check the forecast.
Yeah, it's just been so beautiful so far this week, Nick.
We've been really, really lucky. A great stretch of weather, and, we will be also getting into a great stretch of weather after tomorrow. Tomorrow, when the little bump in the road, but it's a small bump, as you'll see. 73-58 today, so another day, though, below the average high of 79 and the average low of 65. We're going to be way below that tomorrow. We're not getting out of the 60s, but we will warm up again for Thursday and beyond. 94 and 48 in the records. That 48, though, a long time ago, 1883. A lot of clouds, 65 now. They're sort of mid to high clouds at the moment. Northeast wind at 7. Humidity is up there a little bit more now, 61%. But the barometer's turned the other way around. The pressure reading 30.30. That's nice and strong. But we're cooling it down now. 52 in Sussex, 56 Poughkeepsie, mid-60s around town, 68 Newark, 64 as you get out to the Hamptons. Again, the northeast wind has lightened up considerably. It's only about 5 to 10 miles an hour compared to what it was before. All right, we do have that coastal flood advisory. This is going to go until 3 o'clock tomorrow. Again, along the Jersey shore. Mostly, again, during the time of high tide, some minor coastal flooding is possible. That's because, again, we see that northeast to east wind pushing the water right up against the coastline. All right, the highs earlier, mostly low to middle 70s. Newark, the top spot, 75. 73 Hartford, 74 Poughkeepsie and Sussex. Didn't get out of the 60s, though, in the Hamptons. And really through the rest of the northeast, mostly 70s. Only Boston at 69, same for Binghamton. But mid-70s upstate, 77 Harrisburg, Philadelphia, southward to Washington, D.C., and then the mid-70s appearing in Pittsburgh, Detroit, Chicago, and Indianapolis there at 78. All right, close-up view. That shows some of that cloud cover coming in. It's mostly, again, mid to high clouds sliding up the East Coast. It's because we have a little stall frontal boundary that's kind of sitting there, and you can kind of see the way the clouds kind of go out into the Atlantic. We have this little disturbance that's sitting down here, causing some showers very close to the Outer Banks of North Carolina up towards about Norfolk, Virginia. So that system is the one that's going to be coming up the eastern seaboard into tomorrow. So you're going to see here in our futurecast that that's just going to bring the clouds right back in here overnight. And you can see out the door in the morning, there's some spotty light rain or showers or a drizzle. Again, it's not going to be a lot tomorrow. Certainly not going to help our drought situation, but that threat of shower activity continues into the early afternoon. And then as we get into the later part of the day, more so tomorrow night, the dry air is going to move right back down again. So by the time we get towards Thursday morning, we'll see those clouds go away and the sunshine comes back. Temperatures are going to warm up, and it should take us into some nice weather right on through the weekend. All right, tough for boaters tomorrow. With the waves running 5 to 9 on the ocean, 2 to 3 on the sound. Small craft advisory, winds northeast 10 to 25, And again, there's a moderate to really high risk for rip currents again tomorrow. Look at the UVI, though, only a 1. Gives you an idea if the cloud cover is pretty thick tomorrow. All right, 60 tonight. We'll say just a shower risk as we get into the wee hours of Wednesday. Otherwise, just a lot of clouds. Lower to middle 50s in the suburbs. Tomorrow, clouds, cooler, some showers, little patchy light rain or drizzle. And about 68, and the best chance of that is, again, New York City on south and east. All right, here comes a 7-day. Much better for Thursday, getting up to 82. Friday's great at 78, lots of sun. Sun and clouds Saturday, maybe a sprinkle in the evening, but I doubt it. Still close to 80, and same for Sunday. Shower threat returns later Monday. Should dry out for Tuesday. We're coming back with more of the 10 o'clock news after this timeout.
Trans-Siberian Orchestra returns to the road this November with a new production of The Ghosts of Christmas Eve, The Best of TSO, and more. The show will open with a fan-favorite holiday rock opera, followed by a high-octane second act featuring the band's biggest songs and a special tribute to their album Beethoven's Last Night.
Recorded that record 25 years ago, and going back and listening to it now, it sounds like we recorded it yesterday. When we complete the section of the show that's the Christmas story, they're going to be looking forward to hearing what we're putting together and kind of tip our hats to Paul O'Neill and Beethoven's Last Night.
And the orchestra says the real highlight is the connection they built with their audience over the years.
And don't go anywhere. Good Night New York with Crystal Young and Ryan Christopher is next at 10:30, and you do not want to miss it.
All right, and afterwards, join SE Cup for Battleground NYC, the fight for your vote at 11 o'clock. And that does it for us tonight. If you listen to any part of the 10 o'clock news, you can always catch an encore on our free streaming app, Fox Local.
Where you can stream our newscasts anytime. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.